The rain had just stopped, leaving the supermarket parking lot glistening under the dull gray sky. People rushed past with carts and bags, eager to escape the cold breeze, but Mark Bennett walked slowly, lost in his own thoughts. Weighed down by a day that felt heavier than most. He was tired, frustrated, and wondering how he would fix the mess his life had become. But then he heard its soft, trembling sobs that cut through the air like a cry for help no one else seemed to hear. When he turned toward the sound, he saw a little boy, no older than 6, sitting on the curb beside a row of parked cars, hugging his knees, shaking and clearly alone. In that moment, something inside Mark shifted, as if life had paused everything else just to show him this one fragile scene. If you believe the world still needs kindness, second chances, and people who step up even when they're struggling, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Mark approached carefully, unsure if he should interrupt, but unable to walk away. The child's face was red from crying, his small hands trembling against his jeans. The boy looked terrified, not the kind of fear kids get when they lose a toy, but the kind that comes from feeling abandoned in a world too big for them. Mark knelt beside him, trying to keep his tone gentle, and asked if he was okay. The boy didn't answer immediately. Instead, he tried to wipe his tears but only succeeded in making his face more blotchy. Eventually, he whispered that his name was Caleb, and he couldn't find his mom. 1 second she was beside him, and the next she was gone, swallowed by the crowd rushing in and out of the store. Mark's heart clenched. He remembered feeling lost as a child, how helpless it felt, how empty. He told Caleb he would stay with him until they found his mother, and for the first time the boy's breathing slowed. Mark stood up and scanned the parking lot, hoping for someone frantic and searching, but no one seemed aware a child was missing. He took Caleb's hand and walked him toward the entrance. Inside, the crowd buzzed with everyday chaos, shopping carts rattling, announcements echoing, people talk loudly into their phones, but not a single person looked like they were searching for a child. Mark's chest tightened with frustration. How could no one notice? As they waited near the customer service desk, Caleb talked in small pieces, sharing that his mother had been stressed lately and always in a hurry. Mark listened without interrupting, feeling a strange connection to this small, hurting stranger who didn't know how heavy the world could be. He couldn't explain why, but protecting Caleb felt like the most important thing he'd done in months. 20 minutes passed, then 30. No mother, no frantic adult, no one rushing in to ask if a child had been found. Caleb's face began to tremble again, and Mark felt the urge to take matters into his own hands. He asked the store staff to make an announcement, but they seemed busy and unconcerned, promising they'd get to it soon. Something in Mark snapped. He walked outside with Caleb and gently lifted him into his truck, not to leave, but to keep him warm. The evening cold was creeping in, and Caleb's tiny fingers were freezing. As the boy sat wrapped in Mark's spare jacket, Mark couldn't stop thinking about how easily this moment could turn into a tragedy. He kept watch over every car entering the parking lot, hoping, praying silently that Caleb's mother wasn't the type to disappear willingly. Finally, after nearly an hour, a woman sprinted across the lot, her hair disheveled, her voice shaking as she yelled Caleb's name. Mark stepped out and waved, and she ran toward them, breathless and half crying. She explained that she dropped her phone inside the store and had backtracked through every aisle searching for it, unaware that Caleb had followed a few steps behind and eventually lost sight of her. Her face was filled with guilt as she pulled her son tightly into her arms. Watching them reunite, Mark felt a mixture of relief and something bittersweet. He knew loneliness well, knew the feeling of wanting someone to show up for you. He felt grateful that today he could be that person for someone else. The mother thanked him repeatedly, tears streaking her cheeks as she held her son close. But Mark simply nodded, insisting anyone would have done the same, even though deep inside he knew not everyone would have stopped that day. As the mother and child walked away, Mark sat back in his truck and stared through the windshield, feeling strangely lighter. Helping Caleb had nudged something awake inside him, something he hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe life hadn't fallen apart completely. Maybe there was still a reason to keep trying. Maybe kindness was the one thing that never lost its power. Driving home, he couldn't stop thinking about how close Caleb had come to danger, how small decisions 5 steps too far, one moment of distraction could change everything. He thought about his own life, the mistakes he had made, the people he had let down, and how he'd convinced himself he no longer had anything good to offer. But today proved him wrong. Today he mattered. Today he changed someone's life, even if only for a moment. And as he pulled into his driveway, Mark realized something. Sometimes life gives you a second chance, not by fixing your problems, but by showing you someone else who needs you, and in helping them, you find a part of yourself you thought you lost. If this story touched your heart, Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps more people see stories that remind the world what kindness really looks like. Before you go, tell us in the comments, has a stranger's kindness ever changed your day or your life?